Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Welcome to our January 29, 2024 meeting. Item 1, roll call. All members of council are present and accounted for. Item 2, territorial non-acknowledgement statement and moment of reflection, followed by the national anthem. I'll ask everyone to stand, please.
We acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, and Kanyen-Kahaka peoples. And we acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within.
Attendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la suprématie de Dieu et la primauté du droit, prenons un moment de réflexion personnelle. Thank you very much, everyone. Merci beaucoup. Item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. We have 2 items under sections 18B, library donation for Councillor Deacon, and item C, SNC minutes for Councillor Deacon. Anything else to add for members of council? Seeing none. Item 5, adoption de l'ordre du jour, motion d'adopter l'ordre du jour tel que amendé. Besoin d'un proposeur, un appuyeur, s'il vous plaît. Proposé, conseiller Lorrain puis conseillère Deakin. Tous en faveur? Opposé? Carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing, hearing none. Item 7, l'adoption des minutes des procès-verbaux. Procès-verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil 11 décembre 2023. Motion d'approuver le procès-verbal tel que présenté. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. Questions on the minutes? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 8, presentations. This is one of the better part of my job, so I'm happy to be able to do this evening. So today we have the distinct pleasure of recognizing one of our own, Diane Sapunkis, with the Citizen Recognition Medallion. Diane, a founding member of the Write It Now group, has been a cornerstone of this community through her dedication to arts, culture, and storytelling. Diane, your leadership in revitalization, the Write It Now group, is a testament to your commitment to our community. You've transformed it into a vibrant forum that embraces the diverse voices of Russell Township. Your coordination with the local library and your involvement with the Friends of the Library and the Russell 55 Plus Club further highlight your dedication to our community's cultural enrichment. In presenting this medallion, we honor your unwavering spirit, your passion for the arts, and your exemplary service to Russell Township. Diane, you are not just a recipient of this award, you are an inspiration to us all. On behalf of the Russell Township Council and all our residents, thank you for your invaluable contributions. Your efforts have indelibly enriched our community. Congratulations, Diane, and thank you for your exceptional service. Okay, come over here, we'll take a picture.
I thank my family and friends who are here, and I would like to thank Don Anderson who nominated me. Thank you.
You forgot to mention that we got the whole fire department. We got the whole fire department just.
And there you go.
We did miss that.
Next item, delegations, petitions, we have none. Consent item, motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. We have items from A to K. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the floor, and then if we have any questions, we can separate out items. Moved by Councillor Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Deakin. Any requests to separate any of these items? Seeing none, we'll vote for all of them. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 11, rapport des départements et comités du Conseil, 11A, règlement d'établissement et de réglementation du service des incendies de la municipalité de Russell et règlement confirmant la nomination du chef pompier, rapport FIRE 2024-01, que le Conseil reçoive le rapport FIRE 2024-01 daté du 29 janvier 2024 et que, tel que recommandé dans ce rapport, adopte 1. Le nouveau règlement d'établissement et de réglementation proposé pour le service des incendies de la municipalité de Russell et 2. Le nouveau règlement confirmant la nomination du chef pompier du service des incendies de la municipalité de Russell. It was very detailed bylaw, long report, and through you, Monsieur Godin, Chief McBain, I'm sure you want to say a few words to the report.
I do. Thank you, Your Worship, and members of council. This evening behind me are the members of the Emblem and Russell Fire Departments, and together we bring before you a new fire department establishing regulating bylaw for your consideration and approval. As previously requested by council, we are proposing to create one fire department that will be known as the Russell Township Fire Services. Will be Station 11, which is normally known as Emblem for the last 105 years, and Station 12, which was the Russell Fire Department for the last 109 years. Before I continue, though, I would like to acknowledge the history of both fire departments. For a combined 214 years, our community has been served by dedicated volunteer firefighters who have responded night and day to numerous fires, emergency incidents, countless hours of training, and numerous public education events. Fire safety measures also by educating the public. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge all the previous fire chiefs who have paved the way and have provided their dedication and commitment to our community. I look forward to continuing and leading our firefighters as the fire chief of the new Russell Township Fire Services. In this bylaw that we brought forward this evening, you will see some notable changes. The establishing of our auxiliary program, which we currently have, but expanding it to include firefighters up to the age of 65, where it was previously for those over 65 years of age. These individuals who are 16 and over can join as a member in one of our support roles. They can assist with training, station maintenance, public fire safety education. By permitting an age of 16, this can open the door to permit students and then the possibility of them to become a firefighter once they turn the age of 18. Also adding a possibility to create a student co-op program. This program would then encourage potential students of the younger generation into the firefighting community. We would reach out to the high schools in our township and develop this co-op program. You will also notice that we have clarified our existing core services that we provide to the community at this full-service firefighter level. With the certification requirements now required under Ontario Regulation 34322, firefighter certification, that comes into effect in July of 2026 and July 2028, we have provided a clearer description of each of the core services as it relates to our levels of service. In conclusion, we, the Russell Township Fire Services, would like to thank Council for all the past and future support of our fire service, and we look forward to continuing to serve our community as the Russell Township Fire Services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. And thank you to everyone for attending this evening, for everything you do and have done and will do in the future. You guys represent the best of us in our communities, and I think our community recognizes that as well. Members of council, any questions, comments in regards to this report? Seeing none. Anything you want to add, Monsieur Godin?
Oui, merci, Monsieur Maire, et bonsoir, chers membres du Conseil. So I just wanted to take a quick second just to congratulate Chief McBain and Deputy Chief Corville and the whole team for all the work on the update of this important bylaw establishing the Russell Township Fire Services' vision. Je veux également remercier tous les pompiers volontaires qui se sont déplacés ce soir pour démontrer leur support pour cette vision et pour l'identification du service de feu de la municipalité de Russell comme une équipe unique. I think it's a very important step in the direction of collaboration and service excellence. And I'm very happy to see this milestone being achieved here tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. This will be part of our resolutions that we'll vote on later, but I don't anticipate any issues. So with that, we'll move on to the next item, which is item B. Yes.
If I could dismiss our firefighters in case there is a call. If we could
Oh,
just take a couple
100%.
minutes, and they do have training to do.
Yeah, that's your call. That's not our call.
I need them to get back to work, Your Worship.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thanks for being here, guys. Thank you. Item B, 2023 Audit Service Plan from MNP, Verbal Report CAAS FS 2024. The Council received the 2023 Audit Service Plan from NNP dated December 31st, 2023. Through you, Monsieur Godin. Monsieur Dagenet, we have I believe we have a guest here tonight. This is no different than past audits, but...
Oui, Marc Farrin is with us. He's a partner at MNP. So I believe you have a small...
Yeah, council all had the presentation. I'm not sure if there was any questions at all. If there's questions, we could go straight to that, but it's pretty standard every year.
Standard, like every municipality every year. There's nothing out of the ordinary in the plan this year.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, I'm here. If not,
Council. Oui, excuse, on va te demander ta serre en avant, Marc. Councillor Deacon.
Merci et bienvenue. All good? Just a question under the risk assessment section. The first sentence there says, based on the preliminary risk assessment procedures performed. I was just wondering if you could let us know what are those procedures. There's a list of procedures at the end, but I'm wondering which ones have already been done or considered preliminary.
Yes, definitely. We came in December and we did our preliminary procedures for our audit. So we did we reviewed the policies, we reviewed the internal controls in place. Some of them we've tested, some of them already. Some will be tested later on during the year-end audit. And then we just looked at based on our experience with municipalities in general and what are the general risks in municipalities. When we did our assessment, we didn't find any risks specific to the Township of Russell. The risks that you see enumerated in that plan are the risks that apply to all municipalities that we audit.
Thanks, that's great.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter de l'administration? Non? Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Farrin. On va aller à prochain item. Item C, bylaw to exempt certain lands from part lot control, PD 2024, refer to number 16 bylaws, 339, 401, 403, 405, Voyageur in Embrun. Questions, comments, members of council? Seeing, hearing none. Anything to add from the administration? No, we're good. Item D, règlement visant à exempter certains terrains de l'application du contrôle des lots PD 2024, voire numéro 16 règlement 900 à 904, 910, 912, 928 à 930, Chablis Crescent à Embrun. Questions, commentaires, membres du conseil? Quelque chose à ajouter de l'administration? C'est beau. Item E, dedication of public report PD 2024-01, Highway Oasis Street, Limoges. The council receives report PD 2024-01 dated January 29, 2024, and adopt the bylaw dedicating Block 50 on Plan 50M 282 being part of Oasis Street in Limoges, and that the bylaw be registered on title. Questions, comments, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Anything to add, Madame Tremblay? No? Item F, autorisation pour exécuter...
Before we go further, can we add something? Chief McBain wanted to mention something about the bylaw before we go into the bylaw section.
Oh, okay.
Just minor adjustments.
Oh, okay.
We made some minor adjustments today, edits, so I
Yes.
forgot to mention those editorials. So there was just some minor editorial, one in the report. We were indicating that there was a change in the numbering of the fire stations to reflect the Prescott-Russell agreement. The report read in the number of stations, but it's the numbering of the stations.
Stations.
We're not increasing any numbers to the fire station.
We're not adding 10 more stations?
Yeah, no. not
Okay,
under,
just,
And then I forgot to mention, we made a couple editorials under, when it came to the services, when there's a fire and we have to call in extra equipment and so forth, there was a small editorial there where we can charge it back to the property owner, okay? And then there was also a section in Schedule G about employment standards, diversity, inclusion. We had updated those agreements to the current criminal,
Human Rights Code?
Human Rights Code, yes, not, I was gonna say criminal code, but the Human Rights Code. So we reflected that to the current requirements as of today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for the
We didn't
update.
see that initially, it's just as of today.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any questions on those at all? No, we're good. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
clarifying,
Sorry
Chief.
about that.
No, all good. You had to get your guys out first, I understand. Sorry, we're at item F, autorisation pour exécuter une entente de lotissement rapport PD 2024-03, que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PD 2024-03 daté du 29 janvier 2024 et approuve le règlement autorisant le maire et la greffière à signer et à poser le sceau corporatif à une entente de lotissement entre Mélanie Construction Inc. et la Corporation du canton de Russell pour une parcelle de terrain légalement décrite comme étant une partie de la partie du lot 7, concession 7, village d'Embrun et comté de Russell. Questions, commentaires, membres du conseil? Quelque chose à ajouter de l'administration, Mme Tremblay? Non? Next item, item G, dedication of public highway report PD 2024-04, North Russell Road in Russell. The council received report PD 2024-04, dated January 29, 2024, and adopt the proposed bylaw dedicating Part 3 on Plan 50R-3573 as a public highway and that the bylaw be registered on title. Questions, comments, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Anything to add from the administration, Madame Tremblay? No? Parfait. Item H, composition de la Commission des services de police, rapport PIC 2024-01. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PIC 2024-01 daté du 29 janvier 2024 et approuve, tel que recommandé dans ce rapport, la nomination d'un membre du Conseil pour représenter la municipalité de Russell à la Commission des services policiers du comté de Russell et que le Conseil nomme blank pour être le représentant qui siégera à la Commission des services policiers du comté de Russell. Alors, Madame Laflamme, on va être obligé de séparer celle-là pour être capable de rentrer le nom. Questions, comments, members of council on this one? Yeah, we can further discussion later. It'll be a separate item, so. Any other discussion at this point? We can continue. On va continuer la discussion quand il va te séparer, Madame Bordeaux. Item I, Transportation Master Plan Report ISPW 2024-02. The council received report ISPW 2024-02 dated January 29, 2024, and accept the bid for Morrison Hirschfield for the update of the Transportation Master Plan and to increase the budget by $146,080 financed by the development charge. Questions, comments, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon, anything to add to the report? We're good? Okay. Item J, conception de l'égout pluvial de la rue Notre-Dame, rapport ISSW 2024-01. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport ISSW 2024-01, daté du 29 janvier 2024, et accorde le contrat à JP2G pour la conception de l'égout pluvial de la rue Notre-Dame et augmente le budget d'immobilisation de 2024 à 289 684 $. Questions, commentaires, membres du Conseil? Councillor Tarnowski.
So when I read this, it talks about construction supervision of the construction of the storm sewer and the beautification of Notre-Dame Street from Saint-Guillaume to 958 Notre-Dame Street. I just wanted to confirm that this indeed is the beautification piece will also be included in the design? Or just to get, more of an understanding if beautification is part of it.
Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc oui, la portion de beautification est inclue dans le prix que vous voyez devant vous ce soir.
OK.
Donc ça l'inclut, c'est un peu ce qu'on a fait à Craig Street cet été à Russell. Dans le fond, le consultant va refaire le profil du chemin. Donc on prévoit de paver quand même du rond-point existant en brun-fort jusqu'au près du M&M en brun. Donc, ça inclut vraiment la préparation de tous les documents nécessaires pour refaire tout ce segment-là du chemin.
Continue, Councillor Tarnowski.
C'est juste pour clarifier, parce qu'on parle de beautification. Je veux juste confirmer, est-ce qu'on va pouvoir voir ça avant d'accepter le plan tel quel ou comment ça marche?
Monsieur Bourgon.
Dans le fond, côté beautification, c'est qu'on va revoir le traffic calming. Il va y avoir des traverses à piétons proposées. On refait des segments de trottoir. Il va y avoir des voies de virage. Donc, il va y avoir on va faire des réunions publiques aussi pour aviser tous les résidents. Il va y avoir une réunion publique seulement pour les entreprises également, puisque la construction du segment de Notre-Dame va quand même perturber les entreprises pendant plusieurs mois. Donc, on va vouloir faire la consultation au courant de l'année aussi. Puis ça, c'est quelque chose que le consultant va nous assister également.
Formidable, c'est ce que j'essaie de comprendre. C'est bon, merci.
Merci. Puis, clarification, ça ici, c'est juste pour le design. Le projet comme tel, tous les coûts capital qui vont venir avec ça, ça va discuter une fois que le design est complet, puis on va de l'avance, c'est ça?
Oui, exactement, M. le maire. Donc, c'est pour ça qu'on veut donner le contrat à la firme d'ingénieurs maintenant, pouvoir faire toutes les études, tout ce qui est requis au courant de l'été, faire nos consultations publiques. Notre but, c'est d'aller en appel d'offres à l'automne pour pouvoir, lorsqu'on prépare notre budget, on a le prix de construction.
OK, parfait. Other questions or comments? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter de l'administration? Non? Parfait. Prochain item K, Storm Sewer Outlet Rehab Report ISSW 2024-02. The council received report ISSW 2024-02 dated January 29, 2024, and approved the proposed bylaw to award a contract and to authorize the entry into an agreement with Robert Excavating for the rehabilitation of the storm outlet located at 1022 Notre Dame for $347,271 plus $6,101 $311.97, equaling $353,382.97. This amount includes 1.76% of non-refundable HST, and that the mayor and the clerk are authorized to sign the agreement and to increase the 2024 capital budget by $93,382.97. Questions, comments, members of council? Hearing seeing none. Quelque chose à ajouter au rapport, Monsieur Bourgon? No? No further question. We'll move on to the next item. Councillor Lorrain?
I do just have one quick question about this. So 2 reports have come in on sewer, Notre Dame, and the storm sewer outlet report. We went through the budget in November, and I'm just curious as to why we're off that much in that short period of time from what was approved in the budget to now. Was it just the tendering of the actual projects that have increased those budgets? Or I'm just trying to get that understanding, because I mean, we're 300,000 short on one project, and what's the second project here is
93,000.
93,000. So it's $400,000 that's coming out of our asset management reserves that we have that we weren't anticipating for this year.
Yeah. Through you, Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon?
Well, I can start with the first one, the RFP for the firm. So the RFP was issued in December. So we did finalize our scope. We did merge a project that we were anticipating with the county for the beautification of portion. We merged those 2 together. So that did not, well, the timing-wise, that's why you see a big discrepancy in all the work proposed. And as for the last one, well, we received a revised bid after the budget was approved. And that, I was hoping to have those numbers to do the adjustment before budget approved for the one that we just discussed. But the revised price was received just after.
And just to clarify on this one here, the original amount that had come in, the project was supposed to be done last year, came in significantly higher with just one bid, and you've been able to negotiate with the contractor, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It was almost double of what we had budgeted for. Due to the proximity of one of the homes and the difference of elevation with Notre Dame and the river itself. So yes, like you mentioned, we were able to negotiate that price.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Anything to add, Monsieur Bourgon? No? Okay, we'll go on to the next item. Item L, examen de la norme de gestion de la qualité de l'eau potable, rapport ISWAT 2024-01. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport ISWAT 2024-01, daté du 29 janvier 2024, et accuse réception du procès-verbal de la réunion d'examen de la gestion de SGDQ tenue le 5 décembre 2023. Questions, commentaires, membres du Conseil? Questions, comments, members of Council? Through you, Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon, anything to highlight?
Well, I can say, like, I'd like to take that moment to thank our team that we're, like, year after year, we've been working to provide the clear and good water to Ambrym and Russell and Marionville. Donc, ici, c'est une étape qu'on doit faire à chaque année, mais je prends l'occasion, l'opportunité là, de souligner le bon travail de l'équipe jour après jour, puis année après année, là, pour donner la bonne eau potable à toute la municipalité.
Merci beaucoup. Pass along council's thanks to your team as well for making sure our water quality is quite high as far as how they proceed. So, next item, item M, recommendation 2023-002 of the Teens Advisory Committee, Critical Hours of Youth Programming. That council received recommendation 2023-002 dated November 15, 2023 from the Teens Advisory Committee with respect to directing administration to explore partnership opportunities in support of an expansion of free of cost critical hours youth programming. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Tarnowski?
So I just wanted to know, is it possible to receive kind of an inventory of what we currently have in it before, like, not to say that I don't want to explore more partnerships, but I would like to just be informed on what's already available.
Okay. I'm not sure if the administration has that right off the tip of the fingers, but Madame Guitard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I would really have to, I just want to make sure that I have the right partners to mention. I do remember, though, we had a similar partnership way back in 2017, which was with CDL/Valoris. We had a drop-in. They had employees there. We were lending them the hall upstairs at the Amber Marina on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And unfortunately, it did not work. So I think they had tried it for a year, and it was not extremely successful. I think there was a problem of transport and, you know, kids from Russell coming here and et cetera. So, but definitely, we've revamped New Frontiers this year as an accessible program, and we are working with an instructor from a, you know, that has a background in that field. So that could be one, yeah.
At this point in time, the recommendation is only to receive it. There's no action being taken at this point in time unless members of council want to give a different direction. But Councillor Deakin?
Sure, I'd be happy to speak to this. It was really enlightening at the recent Roma conference hearing from AMO calling for a social and economic review in a support motion, which we passed earlier tonight in the consent items, because this all fits, you'll see in the preamble for the motion we're talking about, or the recommendation that we're talking about, the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, which recommends at a county level that critical hours for youth programming is a huge area where if investment was made and if coordination was made between partners, we would see a big return on investment in terms of the overall community safety and well-being. So we've been mandated at a county level regionally to do these CSWBs, but not been provided resourcing as municipalities to follow through on these plans and these identified needs. So it's a gap, and I just want to name that in case folks were wondering about those plans. I encourage people to go to the county report and take a look at that. So there is a gap in coordination, and this is something that the Teen Advisory Table, it's a table of 17-year-olds essentially talking about what issues they're seeing in the community and what they think could be some solutions to those issues. And I'm awestruck by them all the time. These kids are amazing. If I can call them kids, sorry, that's what I call teens. I hope it's not offensive. But they're really incredible in how they use their voices. And what's really striking me every time they come to the table as 17-year-olds is they're saying to me, we're fine. We have our driver's licenses. We can go to the Starbucks. We do our thing. We're really, really worried about the 12 to 14-year-olds. So just to say that the recommendation is a bit broad, but usually when they're talking about these issues, they're talking about tweens and young teens, children who were very affected by COVID and lockdowns, and they're seeing kind of the impact on mental health and ways that these kids are able to engage in the community, having not really come up, being able to go out to activities and things like that. They're using words like hopelessness, violence, giving up. It's pretty dire, and again, these are 17-year-olds telling us to be looking out for those 12 to 14-year-old demographics in particular. So the advisory committee has received different groups who have been consulting with them around what would they like to see. Would they like to see the revival of the youth center? Is it a space? Is it a place? Or is it programming? And you nailed it on the head, sorry, through you, Madame Guitard, really nailed it on the head in terms of naming transportation and cost and programming as kind of the triple threat of what are barriers that young people are facing to accessing those critical hours programs. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not just, open up the bowling hall or, set up a drop-in. It is more complicated than that, and that's why this recommendation comes with a focus on partnerships, and especially knowing that that the advisory committee itself has been consulted with by potential partners in the community. So I'd be happy as chair of that committee to bring names and phone numbers and a bit more context to administration. So with that in mind, I would like to propose actioning this motion, whereby council can direct administration to have those follow-up conversations and explore what is possible, recognizing the severe resourcing constraints, again, that we're facing, not having follow-through on those community safety wellbeing plan recommendations. We're not having resources to actually implement that in a very, regional, concerted effort sort of perspective. It falls on us, though, I think, to look out for our kids and to make sure that they, that those words change to hope and to leaning into opportunities in our community and connection in healthy ways of engaging in programming after school. So again, I'd like to action the motion by proposing that we direct administration to have those follow-up conversations and explore what's possible. I couldn't agree more with Councillor Tarnowski that we need to know what's happening, what's worked and what hasn't worked in the past. And that is, among mentioning the infrastructure, the expertise, that historical context as well is all sits on the side of the administration. So I have full confidence.
So at this point in time, we'll pull the motion out so
Okay.
that we vote on it separately, and you'll be able to make an amendment to the motion itself.
Sure, thank you.
Sounds good. Any other questions or comments? No. We'll move on to the next item. Item N, recommandation 2024-01 du Comité du logement abordable et réalisable, rapport au Conseil. Que le Conseil reçoive la recommandation 2024-01 datée du 11 janvier 2024 du Comité de logement abordable et réalisable concernant le rapport sur le logement abordable au sein de la municipalité de Russell. So this was a special committee that was put in place by council with Chair Councillor Lalonde and Councillor Deacon that sat with a group of residents that worked long and hard on this report. So perhaps Councillor Lalonde, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say a few words, ahead of time. I note that we have some of our committee members in the hall tonight. Alors, j'aimerais profiter de l'occasion pour reconnaître nos résidents bénévoles du Comité de logement abordable et réalisable pour leur travail acharné et leur enthousiasme quant au développement du rapport. Pam Adams, Dawn O'Donnell, Brittany Hughes, who's with us tonight, and Sarah Davis. Merci beaucoup pour votre travail. Je remercie également Alexis Ball et Dominique Tremblay pour leur expertise et soutien au comité. So the township-focused study provided us with a unique opportunity to sit down with seniors, resident operators, social services organizations, regional government, and our own residents. Their input and lived experience were key in helping shape our conclusions and recommendations. And during the course of our many committee deliberations, the issue of affordable housing for seniors, low-income wage earners, and persons with disabilities gradually pointed to the need for us to look at these challenges through a new lens, community wealth development. The committee determined that the notion of economic growth and community wealth should not operate in separate silos, but instead be integrated to more effectively and efficiently deal with the issue of affordable housing and other related community issues that are rapidly evolving in our municipality. Our township's recent decision to expand its services and daycare delivery is a good example of taking a more holistic approach to community economic development, or as it's more commonly referred to, CED. So it's the hope of the committee that council and administration will give good consideration to the ideas, the information, and the recommendations that are being presented. We were a volunteer community group working hard at doing this during those evening hours and away from our jobs. And as I said earlier, I'm grateful for the seriousness that they brought to each of the meetings and trying to put this information together. I also want to give a special thanks to Councillor Deacon, who proved a valuable resource to the committee in helping me and helping us articulate the research and the recommendations that are presented for your review. Alors, nous restons tous deux à la disposition du Conseil et de l'administration pour toute information complémentaire et assistance dont il pourra avoir de besoin. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le maire.
Merci beaucoup. We'll pull this item out as well, Madame Camille-Laflamme, because I'm sure there's going to be discussion on it. Any questions or comments at this point? It'll be separate, so we can further discussion at that point in time, the resolution. Okay. With that, we'll move on. Item 12, reports from investigator and ombudsman, there's none. Item 13, avis de nation, il n'y en a pas. Item 14, item 14, question period on the meeting of the day. If anyone has a question in regards to an item on the agenda, I invite you to please come up to the lectern and state your name and address for the record, please.
Charles Armstrong, 85 Castle in Embrun. One of the reports in item 10 says municipalities subsidize the province. My question comes into if municipalities didn't subsidize the province, saying that they do, and the province took on all of its responsibilities, how much would our taxes go down?
Good question. Can't give you an answer to that.
Okay. And why I ask that is because I only have one wallet. Whether I pay it in income tax, sales tax, or whatever to the province, or I pay it to you,
Yeah,
it's the same tax.
I understand that. I think the goal of AMO is to make the province realize that many of the services that responsibilities are helping pay for in our province are fully funded in other provinces at the provincial level, not affected at the municipal level. So I think it's not a one municipality issue. I think it's it's every municipality. Everybody has different scenarios and different, deal with different files differently in the province, so.
Has there been a complete comparison with other provinces? I own property in New Brunswick.
Right.
So I know what I pay property taxes on there, what it gets me, and what the province pays for.
So I would say
overall-
that I invite you to go up and read the information on the AMO website.
I have.
They're
I've
the
pulled it up.
ones that would be the organization to speak to. They're the ones who are doing provincial level reviews, not
Okay.
here at the municipality.
Okay.
Councillor Deakin?
I just wanted to add that this AMO call echoes a provincial perspective on a national call that's also being made by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. This is part of a larger national effort between the three higher levels of government. And just to speak to that first thing, you do have a wallet paying taxes, but municipalities simply were not made to pay for many of these services and were not mandated to be providing these services based on property owner tax levies, which is where a lot of that dent is happening.
That's right. Province and feds get a chance to collect through retail sales tax, collect through income tax. Municipalities have the vast majority of government assets. However, we receive the smallest percentage of revenues to pay for those assets. So, yes.
Yeah.
Next question?
How much does it cost this township to, or even overall, but even per hour, to implement the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection Privacy Act?
Monsieur Godin, I'm not sure if we have that information readily available. Obviously, it depends how many cases per year, how much time spent. Madame Camille-Laflamme. We usually get a quarterly report, if I remember well, on all the cases, the amounts, or is that just through, for the IC and the code of conduct complaints and the ombudsman complaints?
Hello, Mr. Mayor. For the last question, no, we used to have the statistics in the 6-month report.
6 months.
Which we don't provide anymore. So.
Okay. Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Monsieur Maire. So I was just going to kind of echo Madame Camille's comments. We don't have that information with us tonight, and we don't really have a track of all the time that's spent on these requests either. There is some research time that we can invoice, and for those, we could probably be able to to take out some stats, but it doesn't encompass all the work that's done in the background as well, and certain follow-ups that we need to do and things like that. So it would be very hard to respond to that question.
And I think that's why AMO is putting out the call to refresh this, since it hasn't been looked at in, what was it, 30 years?
30 years.
30 years. Councillor Lorrain?
And do we have those fee structures in our user fee bylaw for requests of that nature?
Madame Camille Laflamme?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so that's regulated by the MFIPPA and a reg into that act, and it's in our user fee, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
The township, all municipal governments are, by the Municipal Act, are to be responsible and accountable. And MFIPPA is one of the key tools citizens have. Should not the costs of that be part of the core administration of a municipality?
At this point in time, it's not a debate. We're talking about the resolution that's in support of AMCTO. So if you have questions in Rita, I'm happy to debate after the fact, but that's not part of this conversation.
But it is in that, it is part of the resolution. AMCTO, when you read their entire report that they put out, it's 28 pages or whatever on their website. And you go through that and combine MFIPPA with the Municipal Act.
So what's being asked is for a review, AMCTO, and that's what council is supporting. Resolve that the Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery be requested to review and consider recommendations. So that's what's being asked.
And MFIPPA has been amended 20 times in the past 20 years. I went through all of the amendments.
Good for you.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Bradley. I live at 159 Edie Road in Russell. Under the consent items, and speaking to the same issue that the previous speaker was talking to, council put forward their support for AMCTO's proactive submission. And one of the proactive elements of that submission was that municipalities adopt a routine disclosure and active dissemination policy. Does our township have such a policy?
Monsieur Godin, Madame Camille Laflamme?
Mr. Mayor, no, we do not at this time.
Is there a plan to have one in the future or this year?
Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Mr. Mayor. So there's no specific plan to have one this year, no. So this is one of the recommendations in the AMCTO report. So if you go through the 20 recommendations, you'll notice there's a lot of recommendations to increase accountability and transparency to make up with the changes in rules, if you will, or guidelines as far as MFIPPA requests go.
Okay, thank you.
My second question relates to item 11, letter L, the drinking water quality management review. It notes in one of the reports that there had been a finding that sampling records had been falsified. I'm wondering which records, which samples had been falsified, and how long the scenario was going on before it was detected.
Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon?
Well, it was detected right away. It did not affect our system. No non-compliance was issued, and it was dealt with the administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what samples were involved?
Monsieur Bourgon, do you have that information?
I do. I'm not sure if I can speak of that
Are we
detail.
looking for a location? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm looking to know what samples were falsified.
Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Bourgon?
Well, I'll just say like that report, it's in regard of our water system. And the samples were just put aside and did not affect our system.
OK. Monsieur Godin, quelque chose à ajouter? No? OK.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Chartra, 183 Hamilton Road. Russell, I just need a clarification, I think. I heard Chief McBain say something about charging the homeowner if there's a service call for fire?
No, so correct me if I'm wrong, Chief McBain. It's in regards if outside resources were needed for the fire. For example, if we had to bring in a shovel to help with the with putting out the home fire, would that be correct, Chief McBain?
That's correct. So if there was a fire or an incident, there's a possibility for us to recoup our fees. It was already in the existing bylaw. So if there was a large fire, we needed an excavator to come in to assist to put the fire out, then the cost of that excavator could then be charged back to the property owner. It was already an existing requirement in our bylaw.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Councillor Lorrain, regarding the capital reserves, you were concerned about the amount that item L was cutting into that. How much is in our capital reserves?
Monsieur Godin ou Monsieur Dagenet?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, it wasn't the capital reserves, it was the asset management reserve that I had mentioned, so I believe that it's a different reserve, so let's be clear on which reserve we're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Monsieur Godin?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't have the specific number in front of me. I know there's in our asset management reserves with the 2024 budget, there was about $650,000 left unused. So that's when we're bringing reports and we're seeing we're going into our asset management reserves, that was the starting point. So these first reports are going into that, and that's why we do keep those. We keep a minimum fund in those reserves in case there are some cases like this where some tenders can come in higher, or some emergency work can be required that wasn't planned for. So
right.
We can go there.
And just to clarify, this isn't the only reserve we have. We have several working reserves as well.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Conseiller Lorrain?
And just to be clear, I wasn't concerned over how much depleting that reserve. I was just asking the question about the timing between the budget and now, how costs increased over that period of time.
Right. Okay, thank you. With no further questions, we'll move on to the next item. Item 15, resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from department and council committees. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Councillor Deakin. I believe we had 3 items, H, M, and N, Madame Cabré-Laflamme. So I need a mover and a seconder to separate those items, Councillor Lalonde and Councillor Lorrain. All in favor of removing those 3 items? Opposed? Carried. So we will vote on everything except those 3 items. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we'll move on with the first item, which was item H, which was the Police Services Board Composition Report 2024-01. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the floor. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Councillor Deakin. Questions, comments, discussion? Councillor Tarnowski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to put my name forward to sit on this committee. I'm passionate about contributing to our community safety and believe that my lived experience and perspective could add value in this particular board composition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions, comments, names put forward? Councillor Deakin?
I'm very eager to have this board take shape. So this is an exciting step, and I just wanted to thank and support Councillor Tarnowski in putting his name forward.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Councillor Lorrain?
I just had a question. I was in reading the previous resolution for the composition of the board. It seems it's 1 council member per 4 municipalities, but then 3 members at large. Do we know if there's any exclusions as to no more than 1 per 1 municipality, and who is actually going to be making the choice for those 3 at-large members? Because I know the province will pick 2 members, It's those other three members that I'm wondering how that composition is going to actually work, because they didn't state it in the resolution.
Yeah, if I remember the discussion back last mandate, Madame Bordeaux, we were pretty much waiting to see where the members from the province were going to be picked. And that way it would give us a better understanding where to look for the three public members. Obviously, if they were picked in two in Russell, then we're not gonna, the other three municipalities would have representation from their municipality.
And that's all I'm looking for is some sort of an equal representation,
Yep.
other than just the members of council that will sit on the committee, and to ensure that whoever is dealing with that, or at whatever level, that we make sure that we will at least have another representative on that committee from our municipality.
Yeah. Madame Bordeaux, tu voulais-tu ajouter quelque chose au rapport ou de la conversation?
No, that's pretty much it for now. We're waiting for more direction from the province, but we do have to be ready for April 1st, so we do have a lot of work to do and prepare a budget and prepare terms of reference and so on for this new board, and have to get all the municipalities in Russell County on board and to work with us to do this.
I believe Nations already picked their representative. It's a councillor as well. I haven't heard anything from Castleman or from Rockland yet.
I did reach out, so I'm waiting for answers.
Okay, perfect. If there's no further questions or comments, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Next item was item M. Recommandation 2023-002 du Comité consultatif des adolescents, programmation des heures critiques pour les jeunes. Need a mover and a seconder put on the floor. Moved by Councillor Deakin, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. Questions, comments, amendments? Councillor Deakin?
See if I can get it right this time. I would like to propose an amendment requesting that we give direction to the administration to have the follow-up conversations and explore different possible partnerships.
Okay.
With regard to critical hours for youth.
Okay. So we have a mover for that. Do we have a seconder to put on the table and discuss? Seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. Any questions or comments to the amendment? Councillor Tarnowski?
I would just like to, if possible, like within that request, to get additional information on existing partnerships and in like existing inventory of these that are available, of this programming that's already available.
Okay. So perhaps I can suggest slight wording. So let me just pull it out here. So currently it says that council receives recommendation 2023-002 dated November 15, 2023 from the Teen Advisory Committee with respect to directing administration to explore partnership opportunities supportive and expansion of free of cost critical hours youth programming.
Mr. Mayor, there's a part in the resolution from the committee that could help. So the first paragraph is to add at the end would be, and that the Township of Russell direct the administration to explore partnership opportunities and support of an expansion of free of cost critical hours youth programming for the benefit of youth and the wider community. And there's also another line, so I'm not sure if you still want to add it, that was, and that administration reports back to council on the outcomes before Q2 2024.
Okay, that's good wording. Clarification, I guess. Monsieur Godin, is Q2 enough time? Do you have the resources in place? I know, we're kind of building a complex here, so if you need more resources or thoughts?
Merci, Monsieur Mayor. I might let Madame Guitar speak to if it's enough time, but I'd like a clarification as to before Q2. Would that be before the start of Q2 or before the end?
That's 3 months.
So, Madame Guitar, thoughts on the recommendation? What kind of timeline would you be comfortable with presenting something to council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So, first part of the question for the existing partnership, that won't take long. It's for the new ones that you want us to create that could take a little bit longer.
So just to be clear, it's not to create, it's to investigate and have discussions.
Okay, but still, like,
Yep.
it's a sit down and, you know, that takes a little bit of time. And I'll be honest, my main resource will be leaving me in a few months for other responsibilities. So, but we could definitely work out something before she leaves, so.
Okay.
So end of Q2 would be end of June, right?
Yep, end of June.
Okay. So let's say by end of June, we should definitely
Have
be
something.
able to have something brought back to council.
Okay. Councillor Deakin?
I appreciate that very much. I just want to say that this is one of the challenges of having a committee that meets quarterly is this recommendation was passed in November. So if you can imagine at the time, that would have been a bit more of a runway for this work. But the Teen Advisory Committee will be hosting a teens forum in May. So hopefully, in whatever way that forum could feed into the conversations and the discussion, creating a little bit of a petri dish of what's possible, I think that June is fine. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions or comments? So you're fine with the wording that's in the resolution that we can add?
Absolutely.
Okay. You were okay with that wording for the resolution?
That's addressed within that, yeah.
Okay. So we have the amendment, mover and a seconder. If there's any questions or comments, further questions, comments?
I don't think I got the mover and seconder for the amendment.
Councillor Deakin and Councillor Tarnowski. Conseiller Lalonde, question, commentaire? No. Okay, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Carried. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item M is done. Item N, recommendation 2024-01 of the Attainable Housing and Affordable Housing Committee report to council. Need a mover and a seconder, vote on the floor. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, second by Councillor Deakin. Questions, comments, direction, amendments, thoughts? Councillor Tarnowski?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. I think I would like to see some sort of call to action on administration's behalf. There are 6 recommendations. There are some examples that were provided in appendices that lead to existing ways of doing things. So I would like to see if at all possible, how we can action some of these recommendations. I think there's probably some low-hanging fruits that are things that we can explore right away. And starting to address that. So I would hate to see all this work go and just sit on a shelf somewhere. So I don't want to be specific exactly of a timeline or some sort of plan and maybe some feedback from township in terms of what can and can't be accomplished and what kind of timelines, what kind of resources we need to accomplish those. Some of the recommendations, sorry, Mr. Mayor, some of the recommendations that are in here, I'm just not sure if they're possible or how they're possible. I know some of them are already in place in different municipalities, so I don't see why we couldn't do or look at those at least.
So I think at this stage, obviously I'd want to hear from the administration, their thoughts on this report. So I think that we should be looking to give direction to the administration to review this report and the recommendations involved and come back to council at a later date with a report to how we could potentially address these. Monsieur Godet?
Oui, merci, Monsieur Maire. First off, I wanted to congratulate as well the members of the Attainable and Affordable Housing Committee for filling its mandate and to deliver us this report. I know there's a lot of work that was put into it. So to echo what yourself and Councillor Tarnowski just said, so we do. So the administration did start. We've begun a deep dive into the report and its findings, and so there are a lot of very interesting ideas and recommendations. And we think it's going to be critical for council to make an informed decision on how it sees the township in addressing the pressing needs of affordable housing in the future. So yes, to this end, we do suggest that the administration take this report and continue our deep dive and bring back a report to council just to present the administration's perspective. We did see a lot, like you said, there are some hanging fruits in there. There are some recommendations that have already been delivered. There are some others that they might be difficult or different challenges. So we feel it'd be good to bring back a report just detailing all the recommendations the effort, the level of effort and investment required for each of them, and their feasibility and options as far as a game plan or an action plan for how to move forward.
Okay. I think some of those recommendations, obviously changes to zoning bylaw, the official plan, that's 2 documents that will be worked on this year, now that the official plan of the United Counties has finally been approved and accepted. Yeah, so I think that's the direction to go personally. I think if there's any thoughts or comments, Councillor Lalonde.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks to the CAO, and as I said earlier, thanks to the staff. I think, you know, there's a critical piece to the work that we did that's, or still to be done, which is that exchange and that review by admin. You know, we've put out some of our ideas are well developed. Some of them are, you could call a diamond in the rough. Some of them we've pulled out of other communities and municipalities and cities like Cornwall. Their manager there of housing was very kind at the very beginning to spend time with me to explain what they were doing there and how successful they've been, but they are upper tier municipality. So I'm looking forward to the part of the work that hasn't been done yet and needs to be done, which is for staff and admin and Madame Tremblay and yourselves to pick it apart and to see, you know, what is possible now, what is, you know, less possible, but could be done in future. So I still look forward to that part of it. I think it's a part of the report yet to be completed. And as I said at the end of my remarks earlier, Lisa and I, Councillor Deacon and myself, I mean, we have a lot of complementary data and information that is not in the report, you know, for sake of keeping it to a size that people could enjoy reading. So we're quite happy to use all that extra information and data to either help clarify some of the work or expand on it. And as I say, we remain available to administration for that purpose. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Deacon?
Just a comment, if I could, to take a step back and look at the composition of this committee and what we were tasked with and what we're delivering upon. This committee, I think it's a bit unique in the sense that this committee was tasked with a very specific mandate to produce a report such as this. And, you know, I agree entirely with Councillor Lalonde's comments, thanking members of the committee, members of the community who lent their voice on the struggles that they're facing in terms of housing as well. It was critical. And I just want to make a comment and make sure that people are aware of the unique nature of this work and how it was done and just the degree of trust and confidence that the administration, I wouldn't say needed to provide, but, you know, that they're along on the ride with this committee, and that a lot of space has been given for us to explore models, and we certainly don't hold the expertise on the next step, so I couldn't agree more with coming back a report from administration. But just to say that this was a unique endeavor, and it's one that I hope we see more committees being able to undertake in the future, to really bring to the table community voice and perspective as much as possible and meet the expertise that's here at administration for next steps.
Good. Further questions or comments? If not, so Mr. Godin, do you need us to modify the resolution at all to give you a direction, or that's something that the administration, as you mentioned, you guys have already started?
Merci, Mr. Mayor. We've started. I think we've received the direction. Just receiving direction is fine.
Okay, perfect. So all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 16, bylaws. Motion that council approve bylaws 2024-001 to 2024-009 inclusively for a first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the floor, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 17, new business reports, we have none. Item 18, other business presented by council members. Item A, myself, postpone regular council meeting of April 22nd to the 29th. There's a slight conflict in regards to the conference for OGRA that falls under those dates. April happens to have 5 weeks, 5 Mondays, so I'm asking if council would be comfortable switching out the 22nd meeting and moving it to the 29th. Any objections to that? Everybody's okay with that? Okay. Madame Camry-Laflamme, as-tu besoin juste la direction, c'est bon, puis on va faire l'ajustement à la prochaine réunion?
Oui, c'est ça, Monsieur le maire. On va juste changer les meeting requests, envoyer le calendrier, puis changer sur le site web pour que tout le monde soit au courant, puis aviser communication.
Okay, perfect. So everybody's good with that one? All right.
Merci.
Merci. Item 18B, Councillor Deakin, library donation.
Thank you. So on March 2nd, there will be a trivia night in Russell, hosted by Russell Trivia, where funds will be raised for the Embrun Library Relocation Project. As a library board member, we're contributing all of our efforts to the success of this evening. And one of the asks that's come to us as library board members is to support the silent auction by providing items to be auctioned off. So as an appointed member of council on that board, I would like to be able to use some of my discretionary funds. 20% of our discretionary budget can be used in this way to provide items such as this for a silent auction. And I just wanted to check with other members of council that this was okay by them in terms of the council remuneration bylaw and how I'm interpreting it.
Yep. Thank you very much. Councillor Lorrain?
As someone who fought to have that put in, I have full support of you using your discretionary budget in whichever means are available to us within our enumeration bylaw. So I have no problem with that.
Okay, perfect. Any other thoughts or comments? Councillor Tarnowski?
I'd just like to applaud Councillor Deakin on that idea, and I'd like to match whatever you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? We're good. Councillor Lalonde?
I'd like to match Councillor Tarnowski's donation.
All right. So we'll let you guys coordinate with the with Councillor Deakin and for the trivia night group. Thank you very much. Item C, Councillor Deakin, minutes of SNC.
Thank you. I was saying to the clerk earlier tonight that our agenda packages aren't quite long enough. Kidding aside, I think that as a regional essential partner for a lot of what we do here as council, I would like to request that council approve to begin receiving minutes from the South Nation Conservation Board in our agenda packages so that we're able to stay up to date on what's coming to that table and how it's going to affect our municipality.
Thank you very much. Yep, Councillor Madame Camry-Laflamme has been in contact with South Nation. They will start emailing their minutes to us. So we'll receive it as part of our consent items like we do with the UCPR example. Madame Camry-Laflamme?
One note, Mr. Mayor, I believe the minutes are only in English though, so they'll be in English in the French package as well.
Okay, perfect. That's it for item 18. Item 19, consultation publique, audience. Il n'y a pas. Item 20, announcements. Any announcements from members of council? Councillor Deakin?
Thank you. I wanted to start with a follow-up from an evening that I had with the Russell Village Women's Institute, whereby we were discussing local issues, what their day-to-day is like in our communities, and challenges that they're seeing. And it was really nice. A few of the members took the time to specifically state their appreciation for the work that administration does, specifically in the areas of timeliness of response when an issue is brought to administration, as well as the evolution of the communication strategy and being able to connect with township in various ways and hear of the news and the goings-on on things that impact their lives. So I wanted to start by sharing that feedback, and thanks very much. I also wanted to thank and congratulate the organizers of the Living Locally Fair that happened in Russell and the Embrun Carnival, which just wrapped up. These are huge feats to undertake. I heard from one of the organizers of the Carnival, if you can imagine, there are 7 volunteers that coordinate that entire week. of events, which is just incredible, and to encourage everyone to also support the Marionville Carnival, which is happening this weekend. And a couple of other celebrations that some folks in our community will be celebrating. Chinese New Year happens in early February, and February is also Black History Month. So the library will be displaying literature by Black authors and relating to Black history. I encourage everyone to check that out.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other announcements, members of council? We're good. Move on to the next item. Discussion stratégique qui n'est pas ce soir. Item 22, closed session. Motion to move into closed session at the hour of 7:15 p.m. to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, to consider matters relating to 1. Verbal report update on proposed disposition of land in the industrial park, Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Item 2. Purchase of land for roundabout at Route 300 and Limoges Road in Embrun, report CS 2024-01 for sections 2C, a proposal pending acquisition or disposition land by the municipality or local board. Section 2K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Item 3, closed session minutes of regular council meeting dated December 11, 2023. Need a mover and a seconder to go into closed session, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. We're now in closed session. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.